All right, guys, what we got going on here for today is we're gonna go ahead and clean an ice machine, and then once we're done with this ice machine, we're gonna go ahead and do what's called an equipment PM, which is all the ground units, make sure they're all cleaned, and we'll go ahead and take you through all of that, and then we'll get up on the roof and we have to do rooftop PM, which is basically swapping out the filters for all the air conditioning equipment. After that, we're gonna go ahead and clean the coils, change belts, take a look at the pulleys, grease bearings, all the usual that maintenance comes with, all the goodies. So let's take a quick look at this ice machine so we see what's going on. So as we can see, it's pretty dirty. You can see all the black moldy hoses. We're gonna go ahead and get these cleaned, and then we have this T here. So what I did was this hose essentially goes up here. It's for the water pump, and it comes up here, and then it's fed through these pipes that distributes the water, falls on the coil gets cold, and then it starts building up that ice. This is a Hoshisaki ice machine, so we won't go through the sequence of operation with it. I might not take you with the full cleaning procedure. We'll take you in the more important stuff, because it's gonna take me a while for me to be explaining each piece, and we need to kind of get going with this, get the ball rolling. But we have the water pump here, then we have our float switch, we have our drain. So what I went ahead and did is I unplugged, turned off the power, and then we go ahead and remove this tray, which I already took out. So we remove this tray right here. So we pull this hose down, remove this tray. Then what we do is we go ahead and undo this cap down here, which allows the water to be released and drain. And once it's drained, then we can go ahead and put it back on. We put this back on with the cap. We go ahead and fill it back up. Once we do that, we go ahead and we put a cleaner. So what I use is so there's two cleaners here. So we have this Nickel Safe ice machine cleaner by New Calgon. I marked Montauk because sometimes I tend to forget what unit uses what kind of coil. So I just mark it, just makes it easier for me, faster access. So Montauk, Nickel Safe, and then so we have our Hoshisaki, which is this little guy right here. Hoshisaki has a stainless steel coil. I remember that now, but sometimes I can't remember it. But it's a stainless steel, so we can go ahead and use this type of cleaner. For Montauk, it's a nickel coil, so you want to nickel plated, so you want to go ahead and use this one that's nickel safe. And then once we're done running the cycle, so first we pour this cleaner here, which is for the Hoshisaki. Once we pour this, then we go ahead and let it run for about 10-15 minutes, so it breaks down most of the calcium and the slime buildup. And once that is done, then we go ahead and take these hoses, take everything apart. We take it to a sink, we scrub it really good inside out, and then we come back and we scrub on this. Then we take the lid off with a ladder, we scrub with a brush. Every single cell, there's a square brush. Let me see if I have it here for you guys. Here it is. So I got my little setup right here to clean it with. So this is a square brush. As you can see, it's square and not round. So we go ahead and use that brush, and it fits in these slots here. You can see they're squared. So we'll go ahead and scrub each one of these cells with that acid still in there, the cleaner. And then once we get it pretty much clean, then we go ahead and reassemble everything together after we scrubbed everything down very nicely. And then once everything is completed, then we go ahead and we run this guy here, which is sanitizer solution. sanitizing concentrate. So you gotta use the instructions. You always have to use the instructions on ice machines, because if you use too much of a solution, what happens is it won't be able to dilute properly once it goes into the drain cycle. And what'll happen is when it starts making the ice on the next cycles, there'll probably be remaining solution in that water, and it'll build up ice, and the ice, it'll go into the bin, and people get to eat that if we don't do a good job. So it's our job to use the proper mixing solution, and if you go in the instructions and you read the instructions, you can mix it, whether you do it with a jug. So if you want to be more specific, you can use a jug like that, go by the lines, and then put the solution, mix it up, and then pour it in here. But you have to get that mixture, that solution mixture properly, because we don't want customers at the end to be eating that solution. So we have to do a good job, and in order for a good job to be done, that's us to do that. So we have to take care of the customer, we have to take care of the client, we have to make sure everything is done good, guys. We can't be skipping things with ice machines, because it's something that we actually eat. All right, enough of that. So we're gonna go ahead and clean everything up, and then we're gonna run it, and then make sure that it's making ice properly. Now there's a lot more to this. You can go in the manual and check the temperature per the instructions of this unit, and go per your temperature and your inlet water, and then time it and make sure that it's dropping ice, and that the ice is going into harvest, and it's coming off the coil with a certain amount of time, to make sure that everything is working properly with this ice machine. There's more steps to it, but we're not gonna go into detail with all the steps that are required. I'm just giving you a quick rundown with it. So we'll go ahead and begin cleaning this unit, and let's see how clean we can get it. And another thing you can see right here is there's a screw in there. Somebody put a screw in there to hold this panel instead of replacing it. It does need replacement if it's hanging like that, or something going on with it. But yeah, you can see down in there, it's kind of hard to see, but it's a little round tab, and this was more of a square. Somebody made it. I mean, I guess it'll work for now, but it should be replaced. So let's go ahead and get to it. Alright guys, I'm going to show you how to clean this one really quick. I already did a couple of them. I don't want to be too much in here recording, but if you can see, this panel is dirty. So is this condensing coil. This is for a reach-in, for a little ice cream reach-in. They keep their ice cream in here for the customers. So we're gonna go ahead and with a brush that's semi-hard, we're gonna go ahead and scrub it. See how easy that came off? And then we're gonna go scrub the next side. It's almost like cotton. So instead of pounding it in there with water and cleaner, first use the brush, gets about 90% of it off. Some of them have grease, that's normal in restaurants. Some of these condensing coils will be greased up. This one just has dirt built up on it. So this little grate right here, we'll just go over it really quick. Air comes in through here for the little condensing unit, so we gotta clean it out also as best as possible. Sorry for that. Just trying to move quick here. Okay, so then my secret is Black Hawk evaporator and condensers. So mainly it's used for evaporators. So once you pour it on there, it's a no rinse product. But I go ahead and go the extra mile and I rinse it off, because it gets most of the stuff off just with 1 or 2 shots. So we go ahead and shake it up, and then shoot it in there. It foams up, so it expands and it dissolves the dirt that's inside there. We'll go ahead and do the same thing with this. Okay, we'll wait for it to dissolve, and then we'll go ahead and shoot some hot water and then see how that goes. Alright guys, so this has been setting for about 3 minutes or so. So what I go ahead and do when I spray this off, I go to the next unit, and the next unit I do about 3, and I come back to the first one, clean it off. If it needs a second shot, I'll go ahead and spray it again, and then move to my 4th unit, do that one, and then I'll do the 2nd and 3rd unit, come back to this one, and so forth, so on. And so I have a water sprayer right here with hot water, as hot as I can get it, and I just go ahead and spray this down. It's pumped, and it's just a fan style right there. You use any style right there that you like. That's clean. We go ahead and clean this down. It gets a little messy, but I tell you, these cans are the best thing. I can get many of them done within a short amount of time. With this no rinse Blackhawk, speeds up the process. As you can see, it looks pretty clean, other than the water. Just have to clean up right now, but it looks pretty clean compared to how it was at first. And then this guy looks much better. We know for sure that air can flow through these grates. We can go ahead and spray it down. So that grate is much prettier. I just wipe it down with the rag to get the dirt off, and then we'll go ahead and put it back on once we wipe some water off, and then we go ahead and move to the next unit. So one thing worth noting really quick, guys, is we already cleaned up here. We cleaned the water, we cleaned this panel on the inside. Is this corner right here was bent. The corner was bent inwards towards this screw, and it didn't allow us to remove that screw. So if you can see in this part of the video where we cleaned this condensing unit on the panel when it was in the ground, this part was bent, so we went ahead and bent it back, so that way we can put all 6 screws back in, so there's no missing screws. It doesn't look as pretty as it was before, or maybe new, but at least it's functional again. So going that extra mile really says something a little better in your work quality. So we do the best that we can with what we got, as much as possible, guys. That's it with this condenser. Let's move on to the next thing. So I want to note, guys, that while we were washing or cleaning the equipment condensing units down on the ground, I want to note that all this time that we've been doing that, we've been running the cleaning fluid. It's just on the cycle, so it's in the wash setting. It's in the wash setting, and this valve is closed, so it's just circulating on that evaporator on these components inside the hoses, and then to the reservoir that's just going circulating over and over and over. So it can be making this calcium, it can break down the calcium and the slime and everything. So we're filling up the sink. We're gonna throw some chemical into it, then we're gonna throw these parts, and then we're gonna get in there with the brush and clean it. And then while it's soaking over there, we'll still let it soak. Then we're gonna go ahead and scrub this parts down. We're gonna get the sprayer, fill it up, and then spray it. Fill this sprayer with cleaner, and then spray everything in here and scrub it really good. And then go back, scrub the parts, and then reassemble everything. Run the water, then run the sanitizing solution, and then once that is done, then check the production of the ice, and then we should be good to go on the roof to the next part. Let's see what happens. Guys, I went ahead and I took off the little clips that go up here that distribute the water evenly through the coil, and this happened right here. This part of the coil is not supposed to do that. It's welded or brazed to the coil itself like that. So it gets, so as it goes, let me zoom out the camera. As it goes in and out through the coil, it goes up as it goes in and out and down and then back out. It makes the evaporator. So this somehow
came undone. That's not supposed to happen. They're all that way. They all came apart. Wow, this coil is done. So probably gonna recommend for them to replace it and get a new ice machine. It's probably gonna be better in the long run than to be replacing these coils here if they're even available. Reason being is because if this is this old, this is already breaking down, then there's probably already many repairs been done to this piece of equipment, and if not, there will be repairs done to this equipment. So it's probably better to just replace this ice machine. But we can see how it's rotting apart. I'm afraid to put a brush on here and scrub it up and down because it's probably being held by the edges on either side. It's holding already the weight of this fin or this coil surface, and then when I press down with down motion, it's probably up and down many times all the way across. It'll probably break it off. I'm gonna see how it feels. I'm gonna try and clean it the best that I can, but I'm gonna recommend them to highly replace this. I think it's already time on this one. Also because it's already pretty corroded down there, and I don't know if it's poor maintenance or this unit just gets dirty super fast. But we're gonna go ahead and clean it the best that we can and then see how this comes out. So these are the squares I was talking about, that it requires this square brush, and they go, wow, it's spinning back and forth. I'm kind of scared to even put it in there. So this brush fits in those grooves, those squares, just like that, so that it can be cleaned up and down. And you gotta do that for every one of these squares till you finish the whole entire coil. So these ice machines actually take, I want to say, 2 to 4 hours each to do it properly. I know there's people out there that just throw chemical, run through the cycle, and then flush it down, and they do it pretty quickly. But if you're doing it right, if you're taking it all apart, you're gonna spend 2 to 4 hours cleaning an ice machine if you have everything already set up. If you're gonna scrub the walls and do it properly, a good preventive maintenance on an ice machine, 2 to 4 hours you're looking at per each ice machine. So if you got multiple ice machines in the restaurant, you might be able to save a little time because you're able to put the chemicals in the oven, work with one, then go with the next one. It's already ready for you, and then once that's done, go with the next one. So you might be able to save a couple hours, but you're looking, if you have 2 to 3 ice machines, you're probably looking about I want to say 6 hours to a full day to properly service this. So let's go ahead and get started, so then we can move on with the next thing. Let's see how this comes out. Another thing before I end this is that when I'm using this brush, when I finish a whole row, by the time I'm done a whole row, the next row I'm gonna move is usually pretty dry. So I usually prep this guy right here with the cleaner and water, and then I go ahead and I'll spray a whole row, clean it. I'll spray 2 rows. I'll spray this one and the next one, and I'll go ahead and scrub this. Then I'll go back, spray this one, and then the next one. So one of them is getting double spray, so it's always moist by the time I go to hit it, and it makes the job much faster, so I can go through this coil faster. So that's the tip I have for you so far. Let's see how it turns out. Okay guys, so I think I've been at this for about 40 minutes. This is, let me zoom out. This is as best as I could get it to clean in the coil compared to how it was previously. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm going to, as I was cleaning, this stuff was splattered everywhere. This is probably one of the worst ones that I've done, but I got a couple times in my eye, so safety first, guys. Use some protective glasses when you go to do an ice machine PM. So this right here, this, you see these markings here in the top of the coil. That's the hardest part to get off. I guess calcium sits there pretty good, but the coil itself, if you can see down in there, it's pretty clean, the surface where the water goes. So you can see bits and pieces down in there. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is even through here, we're gonna go ahead and grab a bucket of water and flow it through this coil and inside to get all the gunk down, so that way this coil is as clean as it's gonna get. So what I did is I would have to hold these two together and then use the brush. It was very tedious, but I was able to get it clean as best as possible. But I don't think it's gonna go another round like this. But it's clean as far as it's gonna get. Just the corners, you can see a little calcium built up on it. I cleaned it as best as possible, but the rest of the evap is pretty clean and shiny compared to how it was. I think it's pretty good given the conditions that it is in too. So let's go pour some water. Then we're gonna go ahead and work with this side, get this clean down there where the compressor is, the water pump also down in there, that cabinet spacing. So like I said, it takes 2 to 4 hours to get this thing clean well, like you should. I know a lot of guys just throw some fluid in here, run in the cycle, pour it out. Maybe they go the extra mile, put some sanitizer and then water and then call it a day. But you really have to get this thing clean, especially because maybe the customer is not aware. We're aware as a technician. We want to do the best jobs possible, so the next guy that comes can actually tell that you did a good job. It doesn't look as dirty. It's your name on the line, so you want to do a good job every time that you can. So let's go ahead and pour some water and finish cleaning this guy. Okay guys, so we went ahead and we cleaned that coil as best as we could. We went ahead and cleaned the front of it as best as we could compared to how it was when we first got it. And then the only thing that didn't come so clean, it came clean, but I didn't get 100% of the calcium. There was like rocks, piles of rocks built up here all over around. So it's actually pretty clean. I'm just afraid to get this boiler wet without taking the whole thing apart and taking it out. But we went ahead and we got it clean. This float sensor is clean. We cleaned that. So this guy right here, this rust, is rotting away already. As you can see, it's spreading apart and there's chunks missing of metal. So it's already rotting away. So it's been here for a while. It's already probably done its job. Either that or a combination of maybe poor maintenance, I'm not sure. But if you look inside here, we went ahead and we cleaned these walls. I know you see a little right here, but this is just calcium buildup. We scrubbed this really hard, but these walls are super clean. All these walls around, all the way down. Inside is very clean compared to how it was when we got it. So you can see the side walls too. In here, it's clean. Everything is clean. So we went ahead and poured gallons of water on this coil in the center and the sides to get everything out, so that it'll be more efficient when it's producing ice. So this ice machine has been cleaned as best as possible already. We're gonna go ahead and clean the parts and assemble it together. Guys, I want to show you something. You see this guy right here? This thing is very dirty. These guys are tedious. They take some time to clean. Got a couple of them already done and a couple more over there. I got a couple more to go. So you have to disassemble every one of these parts, because if you just throw liquid in there and cleaner and sanitizer, this still stays like this. And this, when you run the system again, as it runs, it recontaminates, introduces bacteria and slime and everything to the system, and it recontaminates it, and this stuff builds up again. So if you clean it good, it'll last longer. Clean if you have a scheduled preventive maintenance done with these ice machines. So you literally have to scrub each one of these cells from the outside and the inside and in these ends to get this clean, so they can look clean. You can tell the difference when you put them together. dirtiest one from the clean ones. So we have to scrub these guys really good. So yeah, it just takes a process. So that's why that's why I keep saying 2 to 4 hours at least. If they're dirty, it's gonna take longer each ice machine to get them cleaned properly. Guys, these little plastic things, I forgot the name for them. They took forever because the evap plate is spread, so you're fighting to bring it in, and then these two right here aren't aligning. They're off like this, so you're bringing it in, you're aligning it, and you're trying to push these guys in, and then one of these plates, like on this side, was coming down, so I have to pick it up. It was just a battle to get these guys back in. Normally they're pretty quick, but this one was a battle. Like I said, this unit needs to be replaced, but we're doing our best. Alright guys, right now we are sanitizing the unit. That's why you see bubbles inside. So it is actually running through the system. So we put it in the same wash cycle, and we dump some sanitizer so it bubbles when there's bacteria. So it's going through the coil, the reservoir, the pump, the hoses, everything. So we go up here. It actually looks way better than it did when we first got here. But I don't think we can pull it out again. But yeah, so far we're sanitizing inside of all of these hoses. That's being sanitized. It's running a cycle. We'll leave it a couple of minutes. Once it's done, then we'll go ahead and drain it, and then we'll run a water cycle again for a couple of maybe 1 or 2 minutes, then drain it, then go ahead and put it in the ice cycle. But there you go. That's basically a correct service for an ice machine. So this stuff smells really good, actually, the sanitizing solution. This is a unit currently in the state that it is. It's actually a unit that I would love, or at least minimum be okay with drinking this water once the sanitizing solution is gone, or even eating the ice. This is clean. You do it the other way around, you leave slime and calcium, that is just gross. Our job is to make sure that this equipment is running how manufacturer has intended it for, and also so it's safe for everybody else. If you wouldn't eat out of this ice, personally, then it's not ready for the customer. Think of that.